this episode of Horrific History and Hauntings. I'm Beth.
And I'm Ramey. We're your hosts, here to talk about the stories that the history books ignore.
From horrific epidemics and ghostly hauntings to the catastrophes and tragic events that have sickened humanity.
We've had a few tragic events lately.
Mm-hmm.
Medical emergencies, snowstorms. I love the snow.
Cat disappearing.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on.
Which caused major depression for me. It's back. He's back. Boobo's back, by the way. He's good. He's safe. Back inside where he belongs.
A lot of issues going on around here. So we're a little late with the episodes, but we're here now. Brother Knows Quest is still on hiatus. Medical emergency of an uncle here that I didn't have time the last couple of days to go over the final notes. So here we are.
And TikTok's gone.
Oh, yeah. I'm fine with that. They
not.
kept taking down our posts.
Yours. They only had 2 taken away of the Virginia Intermont pictures. I don't even know if it was the one that had our voices or if it was one that just had like that regular spooky music with the pictures. But
I don't really know.
It only happened after a bunch of people seen it and liked it. And it happened about the time that my TikTok started to blow up about the Los Angeles fires. So I'm wondering if they were like, that's not Los Angeles.
Yeah, they probably didn't even pay
it.
They just thought it was somebody trying to capitalize on it.
But no, Virginia Intermont really did burn down.
Yeah.
It's just not in Los Angeles.
No.
Or California or wherever it is.
I'm glad you put that together. I would have been wondering what in the world happened. But no, it's probably that people thought you were trying to say it was Los Angeles. But other than that, we've not done much after Christmas and everything. And then our uncle's health kind of went down a bit. And then the snow before that. It's just been
the cat disappeared.
Yeah, the cat. It's been a wild ride.
It has not been good.
The recording equipment got lost in the mail. Not lost so much as snowed somewhere. It survived the California fires and then got stuck in the snow here. So we've been slow. And it's still not done yet. We've dug out some of the older stuff to do this. We couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, I've got the notes done. I just didn't, when my cat disappeared, I didn't want you all to hear the depression in my voice, and I was sleeping the whole time.
We're still collecting signs on the side of the road from that cat.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't bother collecting them. You know, that's part of your duty, your civic duty.
Yeah, well, I haven't really been that way, and it's been kind of snowy, and I don't feel safe driving in the snow.
Okay. What happened today in history?
Yeah, I couldn't find anything that piqued my interest.
Oh.
Edgar Allan Poe was born. That's not really horrific, though.
I mean, he made some good stories, spooky ones at that.
Yeah.
So
there's
horrific.
that.
Yeah, monkey's paw and all that good stuff.
I think it also said that Britain got bombed during World War I for the first time, maybe, something like that. But we're doing an alphabet of death today. And we're only going to do W because...
There's a lot of W?
Well, kind of, in a way. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter, though.
I haven't talked to you guys since before the college episode. I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
We was doing our own thing. Me and Mom were... I knew it seemed like I had been away longer than you, and I had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're only going to do W because in the book, they had X, Y, and Z all together. So I didn't actually flip through forward, but I figured it was probably shorter if they did that.
Mm-hmm.
W is 4.
Well, we could say water is deadly.
Mm-hmm. Worms.
You could die of worms if you have some bad parasites. That's a good one, too.
Yeah. West
Nile virus.
Yeah.
There's a lot of W's that could do it.
Wendigo.
Yeah, Wendigo could get you. You hear their name on the wind and you best move.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if anybody's ever successfully escaped one.
I don't know. There has to be a reason for the stories.
Yeah, somebody in your group gets hauled off.
Every man for himself. War.
War never changes.
Yeah. By 2003, the United States had participated in 11 wars. We invested over $3 trillion in combat.
That's a sizable sum.
And suffered the loss of 651,234 lives.
You know, I figured it would have been more by then.
That's just by direct combat.
Ah.
An additional 243,931 lives were lost due to war-related activities in preparation for warfare, as well as illnesses.
Yeah, but still, I thought it would be in the millions, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
World War II and World War I.
Probably is, and they're just not counting the missing in action that they still have.
They're not Spartans. They don't just remain missing in action, do they?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know either.
I don't know how that works. The First American War, the Revolutionary War, started with a disagreement about freedoms and taxes.
Tea. It started off a tea party, Beth.
Yes, tea. That ended up turning it into a full-blown war in April 1775.
We had to get the help of the French.
The first battle took place in Concord, Massachusetts, where 90 American colonists and 275 British soldiers lost their lives.
I went through Concord not too long ago in Fallout 4. It's in Boston.
8 years later, in April 1783, Congress officially declared the war over. The American side had 4,435 deaths. Only a small number of these actually died in the battlefield, though.
Mostly disease in the cold and such, I'd say.
The majority was due to infections
Yep.
and disease, as you said.
I'm pretty sure there's a whole episode about old wartime medicine and sawbones, the medical tour of misguided medicine, if you want to hear more about how that went. Bullet wounds and all that was still being explored, so to say.
Yeah.
And amputations.
Yep.
Which was the best way to solve most bullet wounds, apparently.
Yeah. The War of 1812 was also fought against the British. The British focused their military efforts on Canada due to the conflicts with France. They supplied Native Americans with weapons and encouraged them to fight against American settlers. They would also interfere with American ships and had plans to seize Baltimore and New Orleans. This pushed America to become a naval power. It's because most of these battles took place on sea.
No, the British had a big navy.
Mm.
The French had a big army. They were kind of evenly matched, depending on where you was at.
Many of these deaths were caused by fires on burning ships and drownings. Americans developed a tactic of using hollowed-out cannonballs filled with gunpowder and a fuse. They would heat the cannonballs until they were red hot, and this would cause fires when they were lodged into a wooden ship hull.
And then it would explode,
Yes.
I'm guessing.
But the sailors on the receiving end of these shots had to quickly grab these red-hot cannonballs in hopes before they exploded and try to throw them overboard while burning themselves, I guess.
Could you imagine you're training for this, and they're like, "No, you grab that and throw it off." Excuse me?
No. I was taught at a young age not to touch hot objects.
Can you imagine how many just stared at it like, no, you go ahead.
Well, would you look at that? How about that?
Abandoned ship. It's right there. Go, run away. You probably get beheaded or something when you're back on land, but at least you get back to land with your hands intact.
Oh.
And
that's going to cause infection too, because doesn't burning cause more infection or more likely to have
You're just doomed
infections?
from the get-go. As soon as you grab it, you're doomed.
286,730 on the U.S. side fought in this war, and 2,260 died. The Indian Wars that lasted from 1817 to 1898 were a direct result of America's expansion westward. Peace treaties were often made and then broken, mostly by the U.S., which led the Native American tribes, even former enemies, to unite against the U.S. military and the settlers. It was pretty much a war over land and revenge. The U.S. didn't keep complete records of this.
Why would they?
Of its actions against Native Americans. I'm not laughing about that. It's thought that 106,000 U.S. soldiers were used in this war, and it was recorded that around 1,000 U.S. soldiers died. However, the actual number of casualties on both sides, including both soldiers and civilians, is thought to actually be over 100,000.
Yeah, that's a sizable number. It was the big the march west, the Great Migration. Is that what they call it?
It sounds familiar.
The Oregon Trail and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Colonists were used for European warfare with armies facing each other on the battlefield. During this war, they encountered a new style of fighting. The Iroquois, for example, had a long history of war with other Native American groups. They were skilled in close combat and surprise attacks. Every Iroquois male was trained to endure pain. Their captives were subjected to brutal torture, including running a gauntlet, having their fingernails pulled out, having their limbs hacked off, and eventually being beheaded or roasted alive and eaten. I've never heard any of these.
No.
And we have found at least one thing for sure that was wrong in this book that I'm getting the information from.
It could very well be true, and it could be wrong.
Yeah.
Or fictional completely.
Yeah. So, like I said, when it comes to this, I only get the information from the book, but need to look into that right there because I'd never heard that part before. Then again, I believe we were in elementary school when we were learning about this.
And they probably wouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah. The most well-known battle of the Indian Wars was Custer's last stand at Little Bighorn, Montana.
We've all heard of that one.
Yes. This isn't like the little elementary school history books. In late 1875, over 10,000 Sioux, Blackfeet, and Cheyenne Indians gathered in Montana under the leadership of Sitting Bull. They were rightfully angry about broken treaties and were fighting for their land. 210 of Custer's men approached their village, so they sent Chief Crazy Horse and his warriors to ambush them. Custer found himself surrounded and ordered his men to shoot their horses to create a barrier with bodies. The poor horses This didn't work out for them very well. Within an hour, Custer and his men were wiped out. The natives stripped and mutilated the soldiers, which they believed would cause their soul to wander the earth forever. Custer's body, however, was stripped but not mutilated. At the time, he was wearing a buckskin instead of his usual blue uniform, so they may have mistaken him for one of them, I guess. On to the Civil War.
A lot of people died then, too.
Mm-hmm. It lasted for 4 years, from 1861 to 1865. It was the North against the South. The North had a population of 22 million. The South had 9 million. And on the South side, this included 4 million slaves. The Union side suffered 225,000 war-related deaths, while the Confederacy lost 60,000 soldiers.
It sounds like it would be more than that, doesn't it?
I feel like it is, and that may be one of these things that the book was wrong. Because the Confederacy lost.
But they had fewer people to go to war, so of course they lost.
That's true, yeah. More than 200,000 former slaves fought for the Union, and 38,000 of them died mostly from various diseases.
That seemed to be the going
as
trend.
Well as sunstroke.
I'm pretty sure that's the trend up until penicillin.
And the need to transport dead soldiers back to their families led Dr. Thomas Holmes to create a method where blood was replaced with liquid containing arsenic. We know that arsenic is deadly to the living, but it turns out it's a great method for preserving the deceased. After the war, Holmes opened a drugstore in Brooklyn and found success selling mainly 2 of his products. One was his own root beer recipe, and the other was his embalming fluid.
I hope you never mixed them up. I love root beer. I've got some root beer in there right now.
I don't much care.
I like ginger ale and root beer.
I like ginger ale. To attract customers to stay longer and buy soda, he displayed the embalmed head of a young woman in the store's window.
Refreshing.
Root beer.
Refreshing.
Look at that head. Despite being the founder of the embalming fluid, Holmes did not want to be embalmed himself when he died. And after his death in 1900, 20 embalmed bodies were found discovered buried in the pharmacy's basement during renovations.
Wonder if he's experimenting.
Probably.
That kind of stuff happened in the medical field a whole lot back then.
Yeah. I feel like we spoke a little bit about this in the funerals, mourning, and burials episode.
Mm-hmm.
World War II is next. I skipped over World War I.
A lot of disease in World War I. They called it the Spanish flu.
World War II lasted from 1940 to 1945. 16 million U.S. military personnel were deployed, and of those, 291,557 died in battle, while 113,489 died from war-related causes and illnesses. An additional 78,000 were listed as missing in action. America's entry into the war was triggered by the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941 at 7:49 a.m.
A day which will live in
Why couldn't
infamy.
they have waited until 7:50? I like things to go evenly.
It probably was supposed to be. It was very punctual considering the time.
They shouldn't have done it in the first place, but 7:49, just 1 minute. This surprise attack resulted in the deaths of 2,388 people, including 34 pairs of brothers. The tragedy led to change in the U.S. military policy that prevented family members from serving together in the same unit or ship because whole families.
I think Saving Private Ryan is pretty much about something similar.
I never watched it.
Well, he was the last living dude, and they had to go save him before he got killed in the war. They said, his brothers had died.
Oh.
So he was the last one, and they had to get him out of there.
The largest battle in U.S. history, the Battle of Bulge, occurred at the end of the war, and it lasted for 6 weeks, from December 1944 through January 1945. It involved 600,000 American soldiers fighting in harsh winter conditions on the German-Belgian border, during which 61,000 Americans were wounded, 23,554 were captured, and 190,000 were killed, and most of these deaths happened in the first 3 days.
It was my favorite subject, World War II was.
Mm-hmm.
It still is. The old Call of Duty games were all about World War II. I can't remember how many different times I've stormed the beaches of Normandy in different games. Every one of them had it.
Yeah.
But I also watched a lot of History Channel.
I don't know. I don't much care for the zombies thing they came up with. I know a lot of people do, but I don't.
Played a little bit of it in World at War, which was the first one that had it, I believe. It was the Pacific, more or less, that was.
We're moving on to weddings. From war to weddings.
They can cause some deaths.
Yeah.
We've covered a few in certain episodes.
In 1989, a 33-year-old man and his new wife drove to Niagara Falls on their wedding day. During the drive, they got into an argument, and in an attempt to silence her, he grabbed her by the mouth and put her in a headlock. During the struggle, with her resisting, he snapped her neck, killing her instantly.
Wow, sir.
After realizing what he had done, he decided to throw himself over the edge into the falls.
Yeah, you just killed your wife on your honeymoon.
Your wife on the first day. In 1981, a 22-year-old man moved into his mother-in-law's Dallas home right after his wedding. Just hours after, police were called to the house. The man told officers he had accidentally killed his mother-in-law.
Oh.
He claimed he thought she was a large raccoon that was attempting to steal his leftover wedding cake.
You're in a new area.
You thought a human being was a raccoon.
My uncle was talking to people who weren't in the room today. So, yeah, it can happen.
Who was he talking to?
He didn't know. He was asking me who the guy was, and there was nobody there.
Oh. So, yeah, he decided to hack her to death.
What?
In their garage.
As a raccoon?
Yeah.
No, sir. You can't act like you tried to kill a raccoon and stabbed her to death.
Yeah. That's why I said, yeah, right.
Well, I thought she just got shot. That might be more believable.
He must have really liked his wedding cake. That's all I can
Why was it in the garage?
I don't know. Maybe they have one of those garage fridges.
Well, everybody does. We do.
I don't. I don't have a garage.
Well, we have a garage fridge and a porch fridge.
And a house fridge.
Every bedroom's got a fridge, too. We're not, wealthy. We just like our food kept away from other people's food. So we splurge.
Work will also kill you. In 2000, a 34-year-old Frito-Lay repairman working the night shift died after falling into a 2-foot vat of unheated cholesterol-laden vegetable oil and
I heard about that. We had a Frito-Lay plant right beside us, pretty much just down the road here.
Yeah, and it changed into a bunch of other different ones.
Yeah, it's like a variety pack plant.
And it stinks.
I can smell jalapeno chips sometimes when I go by on certain days.
All I smell is old grease.
Well, yeah, but if you go by on a jalapeno day, it smells like old, greasy jalapenos.
In Florida, a 27-year-old SeaWorld worker died due to a coworker's error while the worker was inspecting the harness of a 20-ton killer whale being lifted by a crane. Another employee accidentally hit the release switch instead of the lift switch. So the
Free Willy.
Poor innocent whale fell on the worker, causing his death. I hope the whale's okay.
It had to be jarring for both parties.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I was in the factory before and a man got nearly crushed to death by a extremely hot extruding mechanism that weighed tons, and it was round and it would flatten out part of the stuff that was getting extruded, and it slipped off and rolled up on his arm, so it burnt and crushed him. He did come back to work months later after a lot of surgery and stuff.
Oh. 860,000 people annually become ill due to their work. About 60,300 die each year from occupational diseases.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And that is our short W episode.
I like the W's because war never changes. But it's nice to be back. Are we going to do an every episode or every week or every other week thing for a bit now? How do you want to do this?
Let's just say every other week. If we happen to have one every week, just consider it a perk because things keep happening when I say we're going to do it every week.
I was wanting to do some Brother Knows quests, and I've been talking to another friend about coming on for Leveling Duo again. He really wants to do an episode. But I personally have not found the time to do it. I have been under a desk or moving a disabled person around. It has been unpleasant. I finally got feeling good myself, gone to my therapist and everything, and then all this other stuff. I'm glad my therapy taken care of before this happened. But I do love the snow. As you know, TikTok has fallen, and we haven't really created anything else, so we have the Linktree links in the description. They'll take you to all of our socials we still have. If you want to listen to any of our other podcasts, we're part of the Gruesome Gaming Group Podcast Network. That Linktree, the first link in the Linktree will be our website. We'll take you to all of our podcasts. I promise you, before too long, we will have other episodes of other podcasts up. Okay? I swear I didn't plan it when it came to missing so many again, but we're working on it.
And now that TikTok isn't working, I'll have plenty of time and need something to do.
I never was on it a lot. And like I said, they kept taking down my stuff, so it wasn't too upsetting when it disappeared. But Reels, we have the Facebook group in the Linktree. I have my Threads, Instagram, and I'm trying to work on some other apps that are kind of not Red Note. I don't want Red Note. But the other ones...
I have it, but I'm not going to... I don't think they would like me posting.
I don't think the censors would let us post their stuff on there.
And also, just trying to change the little avatar picture, I couldn't read
Mandarin.
What the buttons were, so I was just like, okay, this is just a scrolling app. I'm not going to even try to post anything.
So
I don't want to offend anyone by accident. So
yeah, check out those links. The Facebook group, if you want to check on anything about this particular podcast. I've created another channel for YouTube. It hasn't been added up there or put on the link tree yet, but it will be just for playing because Beth has a gaming PC now. That's part of the big renovations we were doing, making sure she'll be able to play her games and stream better. Or just upload videos if you don't want to stream. Whatever we want to do. We could record remotely, have videos.
I don't have a camera. How am I supposed to upload videos?
You don't have to have a camera, but I will set one up if you want one.
I would like a camera.
Okay. So you heard it here. She's going to be.
It'll give me a reason to actually put something besides pajamas on and use the makeup that I have much of.
Yes.
Because I have no real reason except for the very rare date days that me and Joey get to have when we go out.
Are you going to be one of those scantily clad ones?
What's a clad?
Scantily dressed?
No. No.
Okay. You'll see updates there, links and stuff. I'll try to post things occasionally. I'd like to get in touch with you. There's some people already a member. I'm glad to see you aboard. Welcome. Thanks for reaching out, giving support. If you want to do that, there's also emails in the link. No, not in the link tree, but below the link tree. You could reach out to either of us that way, address it to whom it may concern, and it'll get to the right person. If you don't mind us saying your last name, if it's something we can read out, then just let us know. Otherwise, we'll just use your first name if you leave a name at all. Thanks for the reviews. Those help. I really feel like we don't deserve it right now because we missed so many weeks. I do appreciate them. Below all that is a link for tips. Feel real guilty even saying that right now, but it's there if you want to use it. I appreciate it if you do. It does help keep the podcast hosted. I do intend to keep paying the hosting fees regardless of how long or how many episodes we skip at a time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad that we haven't posted, but also I don't want to give you terrible quality with my depressing voice when my fur baby was gone.
And the edit. And I can't edit. I didn't have a means to edit for a bit. Simple as that.
Oh yeah, and that would definitely annoy some people.
Yeah, so I couldn't edit anything. The skipping. But now I've got a PC again. Everything's working. Thank you for listening. Apologies for all the apologies and excuses. I have been Rami.
And I'm Beth.
This has been HH&H. Bye-bye.